Hello, and welcome to another session of Apocalypse Keys. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and this is based on Rae Nedjadi's Apocalypse Keys game, which is delivering even now. The books are apparently out and flying to people. I'm very excited to have a physical copy of it. We got our drive-through PDF and POD codes today, so super excited about that. We are playing the Parasitic Library, which is one of the mysteries missions that is included with the book itself. So spoilers for that. The basis of this, the plot that we are in, is a extra dimensional entity. This parasitic library has throughout history attached itself to places of learning, places of holding information, places of knowledge, and has sucked them dry. And sometimes when what it erases, what it consumes from the real world, is erased in the real world. So knowledge is lost, is vanished, is destroyed. And exactly what the parasitic library is uncertain. What was found out is that the library had attached itself to your division HQ and apparently had been feeding for a while, and actually consumed a portion of the records and library sections of your institution. You were sent in along with your contact, Marcus Finch, who for a time had some immunity to the parasitic library's predations, and because they had been on an operation into the library before and had managed to escape. There was an incident, and right now there's sort of a Schrodinger's cat thing about what happened exactly to Marcus Finch, but he's around and he's talking to you, so obviously nothing bad has happened. But that was a thing that occurred. You investigated, you encountered both Formless, who is an extra dimensional collector, and the Hungry Worm, which is a thing that consumes things within the library itself. And then towards the very end of that, Vane was isolated and separated from the group and vanished. The group proceeded on. They were able to summon the librarian and get some information about where to head within the library, essentially to the name of it, to the heart of the library, given some directions on how to get there. And unfortunately, then the librarian, when they were informed about the presence of the Hungry Worm, they took off in pursuit of it. The group pressed on and made the acquaintance of a couple of other people here. One is Mr. Gray, who is essentially looking for, he was in a big gallery here and was looking for some pieces of art, and that essentially began to realize that he describes himself as a story from the real world, and he doesn't want the library to consume it. And so he is here looking for representations of that. He also met a division agent, Jen Fable. She wasn't sure that was her name, but maybe it was. It was at least the name that she gave herself. She had clearly been in here for a long time. She had lost a lot of her memories. She wasn't keen on leaving without getting those memories. However, there was an incident in which Beelzebub was fairly certain that she was already dead. So consuming her wasn't an issue, which he then did. So she's gone. Samson was a little shocked by that turn of events, I think is the best way to put that, and a little thrown off. But the group proceeded on, and they are making their way deeper into the heart of this. We are on the mystery map, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 keys. The difficulty of the case is 7. So One more key gets you to even roll, and then to get maximum roll, get another 3 keys. So 4 would be doing really well. That's our sort of goal for tonight. And we have hit 3 ticks on a doomsday clock, which has 5 ticks on it. So those are all there. There were some other details. Stephen, was there anything else like really crucial that I left off visually or narratively?
Not that I can think of, but I did have a question about, you mentioned the doom clock. What happens whenever it fills up?
You lose.
Okay.
The Harbinger ascends. There's and great tragedy erupts as a result of that.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I knew what was on the table.
Yeah, that's what's on the table. That means everything is very bad. That is done both as a tick for the progress of sessions, but also as a hard move on the GM's part. And there are different incidents that occur that each mystery describes. Jesse, was there anything else that I left off?
I think you hit all the major points that was there another NPC that I'm blanking on that you didn't mention? I don't think so. I think you got everybody.
Okay. Jose, anything else I left off? No. Except that you've made good friends, great friends with Mr.
I made a
Gray.
good friend. I got a new friend.
Yes. So that is where we left off. What I'd like to do now is go around and check in with everybody about any advances they got, and what question you want for your XP at the end of session. So let us begin. Cetus.
Yeah, I don't think I got any points or ruin or XP last time. So
Well, you got XP, end of session XP, right?
did I get it? I did. I looked at the questions, but I didn't think any of them applied to me. So I didn't.
I thought we got some, right?
I think Cetus had to leave early.
Oh,
I left early last time.
that's
so,
right.
So I didn't. I didn't go through the
completely
process.
spaced that.
But I looked at them myself, and I couldn't find any that related. So
Okay.
So I'm fine.
I completely forgotten that you'd left early last time.
Yeah.
That's wild. So you weren't here for Beelzebub consuming the NPC.
I did
right.
watch it though.
Okay, so you take it to see it second.
I saw it happen.
All right. So what would you like for your XP question?
I think I'm just going to stick with the one I've got, which is did you let one of your memories, or did you let go of one of your memories and replace it with a new one?
Okay. Do you have a start a session move?
No.
Okay. Samson, did you get an advance either way?
I did get an advance. And I took My Little Monster, which is your little monster is a constant reminder of what happens when you allow someone to get too close to you. And I took Agent Fable as My Little Monster.
That's right.
Yes. And it chooses basic moves and gives you a +1 on those, I think.
Okay.
And can get hurt. And if it's hurt or betrayed, it marks ruin. I mark ruin.
Interesting. I like that. What do you want as your XP question?
I was just looking through that. Let's see. Right now I have did you have an intimate or harrowing moment with death? If so, mark 1 XP. That was the same one I had last time. I think I'll change it, but I don't know what I'm changing it to. Yeah. I'll let you know.
All right. And Jesse.
Yeah, so I'm gonna my new XP. I did take an XP advance.
Okay.
And I took the hungry move. The better to eat you with, my dear. When you reflect on the keys uncovered thus far, you may feed on an aspect of a key. The keeper describes how your body violently changes in response, marking condition to reflect how the transformation makes you feel. And then I can choose to. I get a list of questions I can ask you. That seemed delightful and fun.
Okay, that sounds good.
Wait,
What do you want?
The key, is it gone?
No, there is a transformation of himself in relation to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I feed on an aspect of the key, but not the key itself.
Right.
Whatever that means, we'll decide when it happens.
Mm-hmm.
I would like it to happen. It seems wonderful. And then my XP trigger, the one for this session is, did you protect someone pure and beautiful? And I do have a start of session move.
Okay, and what is that?
The start of each session, describe a memory of your people. Choose to speak with love, sorrow, or both. Say what you hope for. Spend darkness tokens and roll. So, I'm going to speak with love about a festival. This is not like I've been talking about things related to the destruction of my people and my part in that. This is just like a real simple memory of, like, I think in my youth, during some local festival, like not even like a planet-wide festival, like something that's very local to like the city I grew up in, or the region I grew up in, or whatever. Like I'm picturing this was maybe when I was a student, right? And like we just went out, like we went to the parade, or whatever the equivalent sort of like group festive parade, and then there was like a party at night, and we went out drinking, and it was just like, intense conversations with close friends, all of that kind of like youth stuff, where everything feels so much more intense and so much more important and so much more crucial. And I'm feeling just like, and I'm speaking of with great love of that moment in my life. And I think what I'm hoping for here, I think sort of like reminiscing about that and thinking about my relationships with the people that I currently interact with. And not that those weren't messy relationships either, but memory is a funny thing. And I think the hope here is that, obviously I can never recapture that moment, but the hope is that maybe I can build something new with some of these folks here. Trying desperately not to think of Asian fables.
Okay. How many darkness tokens do you want to spend?
I'm gonna spend, I think, 0.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's find the appropriate tab and roll those bones. Do I want this to succeed? Probably not. And it didn't. That was a 6.
That is a 6. So
on a miss.
On a miss.
Just bad. It's just bad.
Which do you want?
Keeper, your memories falter. The keeper will tell you what happens next. Choose one, lose the memory. I'm going to mark rune to keep the memory.
Okay.
And that completes my rune track. We'll deal with what that actually gets me next session. Actually, I want to permanently mark 1 condition. Can I have that count for this session?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Do that. And that's going to be lonely, because I think that fits what we just discussed. And what happens next?
I think that there is a feeling that you get that memory of not the festival, but an even further back memory of the festival, actually from your youth, from when you were a child, and of getting separated from your caretaker and getting lost in that festival, and getting lost for a long time, and wandering and absolutely being uncertain and tiny and fragile and scared. And you're not going to be able to use your haunting aura this session. Like, I think that fear kind of worms its way inside of you, and the fear that you would normally put into other people kind of dissipates.
Love it.
Vane, did you get a ruin advance or an XP advance last time?
I did not.
Okay. What do you want as your question?
I'm going to take, did you give into the power of prophecy and strengthen it?
Okay. I like it. And I don't think you have a start of session move.
I do not.
Okay. Vane, you got sucked into another part of the library. What was that section? Like what part of a library manifest and taken to 11 were you trapped in?
It was so many of those cabinets, card cabinets, like stretching up in a room, just like stories worth. And every once in a while, one of them would come shooting open and just shards of cards would come flying out and very sharp edged. Um, it was terrifying. And I particularly didn't like it because I tried smashing some cabinets and then they just grew bigger, which was not what you want the response to violence to be. So Vane is somewhat chastened when they stumble back in.
What was the means that allowed you to get out? Was it just happenstance? Were you helped by something? What occurred?
There was a voice. It was weirdly enough, it sounded like Angel, was it Goromel's
Yeah.
voice calling, and I turned around to listen to it, and then I had stepped out of the card catalogs.
And so that is the scene that we take up is with Beelzebub, Samson, Cetus. You're on that long hallway of the lecture halls, and one of the doors comes open, and Vane kind of stumbles out, some cuts and scrapes on them, and then the doors,
accompanied by a whole bunch of these cards.
yeah, kind of flying, all done in typewriter. You know how they always did all those ones, white out on some, and come flying past, tiny holes at the bottom of them for the little racks. And Vane, you will see that it's your team plus I should say like Natalie dressed gentleman who is standing there by Cetus and kind of gives a oh my when you appear.
You're back.
I am back, and I'm gonna dust off some cards and make sure none have made their way into my pockets, and check that the books that I carry with me are all good.
Absolutely.
You missed Beelzebub eating the sad lady. But Samson will tell you all about it. He was close up.
And Samson steps forward and says, "It's good to see you, Vane. Tell me, who was our friend whenever we went to Korea? Was the last adventure that we went on, was that in
Philippines.
Philippines? And
Yeah.
the Philippines. Can you tell me about our friends there?"
The Mogwai. Am I saying that right? I know I'm not saying it right.
The McGonagall.
The McGonagall. Yes, I will say the McGonagall in the ruins in the Philippines.
And then I think I step forward and I'm like, I put an arm, I guess I pat you on the shoulder and I'm like, "It's so good to have you back. It's been strange, and
And
you
you
never
see
know."
they visibly kind of blink at this gesture, and then kind of look at Cetus, and then kind of look at Beelzebub and say, "The sad lady, huh?"
Did you find anything useful in there?
No, just lots of cards, lots of cards. If you would like some cards, plenty of those.
I mean, you play in my card game, right? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's always nice to have a new deck of cards.
Well, I will produce a whole sheaf of little book cards and just hand them to you silently. And
Fantastic.
I think the thing that strikes you, Vane, when you go to, like, you found a few in your pocket, like when you go to pull them out, they're actually now cards. And like tarot cards, like one is like the 8 of chains, the other one is like the 6 of weeping, and they're all like very different designs on them.
Well, I will just hand them right over and say, see, there you go. And act as though this is totally expected.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's not like a complete deck here, but we'll figure. Could be fun. Could be fun. We could figure out something to, and I'm like, just babbling at this point, right?
Okay.
As you asked about the sad lady, but like, I bet Marisol will have fun with these. We can figure out something to do with them.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So
Okay. It's good. It's good, dude. It's good.
Yeah. So
It's
we're looking for this library, right? We're looking for the observatory. That's what we were looking for.
So
Have you all run across any clue while I was gone to the observatory?
Yeah, no, we found all kinds of stuff. Ink
I
leaking
read
from
I read some books.
yeah. Some kind of weird library cataloging system.
Well, to be honest, Cetus kind of became and ate some books, right?
Yeah. You see, and he puts out his arms, and there's still letters like falling off of his arms and
Wow,
words
okay.
off his arms. I found a clue all by myself.
What was the clue?
The cataloging system, and so he points to one of the cards that's still floating around in the air, and he grabs it. You see, I understand this catalog system now.
And the actual clue is arcane Dewey Decimal System.
Arcane Dewey Decimal System.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
I'm very proud. He's very proud of himself.
That's pretty nifty. Okay.
so
Go ahead.
you can gather yourselves together and kind of proceed down this corridor. Again, big, like university, like lecture hallway, that kind of echoing steps, the worn stones. And you will eventually hit the end of that, and it will open up into a set of rooms with shelves built into the walls. The door that you come in, like you can see there's a door across, and it's kind of weirdly offset from that, not like straight across. It's the room feels old kind of dusty carpet, like design wallpaper on the ceilings. But the thing is, as you walk along here, is all of the books on all of these shelves have blank spines. It's just shelf after shelf of blank spines, unlabeled, completely emptied of meaning, and just exhausted of letters or words or any kind of signifiers. And you all will feel that, like as you're walking through here, you can feel like this is kind of an end state for things. Like each of these empty books is a representation of something taken from the world, and consumed. Cetus, what do you think of that?
So I think Cetus lets go finally of Mr. Gray's hand and walks over to one of the bookshelves, and pulls one of the books off. And he looks carefully at the blank pages, like he's trying to figure out where the words went. Maybe he drops a few words from his skin onto the page of the blank book to see where they disappear to.
I think when you drop that on,
Mm-hmm.
it'll hit the page, and then it'll kind of run down the page like a raindrop on a window down to the bottom edge of the page, and then it, like, there's a little bit of hiss of steam as it vanishes when it hits that bottom edge, like it rolled off and then evaporated.
And I think Cetus is going to try to extend telepathically to see if there's a presence here that's actually devouring these words, or whether these words are just somehow evaporating into nothingness on their own.
I like that. That feels like, so we could either do that as a grasping for keys, or if you're just kind of trying to read the situation, kind of a power through darkness.
Why don't we grasp for a key? I should do one of those.
Okay.
Key.
Let's have you roll.
Let's see, where did I put the roller?
And how much do you want to spend?
Okay, I will spend, why don't I spend 2 tokens? And that's 2, and we'll see what happens. It's a 9.
That's a 9, so that is right in that sweet spot.
So that's a grasping for.
So you will receive a key.
Uh-huh.
I think that as you're kind of reaching out into this, you see the book, and at the same time, this blank book, you see another version of the book. The book, like, with the writing, with the pictures, with the illustrations, like another version. There is this moment of looking at this and seeing the 2 versions of this simultaneously, the true version and the false version. And like, you can tell that the consumption that happens, like, changes the state of the knowledge, changes it in some profound way. But I think the key here is the sort of the splitting of the memory, of the vision of things here. Like, and I think then as you look at the bookshelves, it gets hard for you to look at, because you see that wavering of 2 states kind of going back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And that is a key somewhere.
That is a key.
Can I jump in on that?
Sure.
So I think as Cetus is sort of having this moment of revelation around the 2 states of memory and what the consumption sort of means, I'm watching him, and I go over to the area of the room, of the bookshelf where he is, that he's looking at, and I pick up one of the books, these blank books, and I flip through it briefly, sort of just like more wafty, like, to like waft the air of the of the book towards my nose to get a smell. And I lick the spine, and I open it up, and I lick one of the pages, and then I do that thing that I think I've described once before, where I kind of like unhinge my jaw like a snake, and just eat the book, just like swallow that book whole. I am eating an aspect of a and I'm reflecting on the keys uncovered that thus far.
Okay.
I think it's this particular key especially, but just to give it like a little bit more, kind of fictional oomph.
Okay.
I'm connecting it to the cataloging system, right? To the way the ink from the books have leaked out, and I may have gotten a taste of that ink earlier. Just a little retcon there, right? The all the library bits I'm kind of putting together with this in my head. Perhaps also the stellar detritus with which I'm so familiar because of my time traveling the stars, consuming planets, and just like all of that is sort of like feeding into my sensation of consuming what's already been consumed, right? And I think also in the back of my head is that experience of eating Agent Fable, right? Who
Hmm.
I think now I'm kind of realizing, right? There may have been something still there, but she was also partially consumed in the way these books had been, are. Um, uh, uh, that makes me feel better about it. Maybe it shouldn't.
So you mark a condition.
Yeah. I've already marked lonely. I think this is probably yearning here.
And what are your two questions?
Well, you're gonna tell me how my body violently changes before or after I ask the questions.
I think one of the things is that all of you will see Beelzebub thin. Like his body goes emaciated. It's like a balloon being sucked in. He's a fairly stocky guy, but it's that there's an emptiness to these books, a vacuum that kind of drains you away a bit when you do that.
Hmm. What do my teeth tear away to reveal someone else's hunger?
I think you will realize that the library is a device, a engine that someone else is driving.
Okay, that's interesting. And then my next question, a mechanical question. So I have this question: how does my blood purify the key and lead me to another? Does that actually reveal a key, or does that point us in a direction where we can then grasp
That
a key?
that would be the latter.
Yeah. So let's. I think then. Um. I like this key as it is. I don't want it purified. I don't want it changed. So why do what do my eyes feast on that others have missed?
That's a really interesting question here. I think you will realize that a lot of the bits and the pieces and the signs and the symbols and the things you've seen around here uh, echo your long history with division.
Mhm.
Like you've been to division a long time in multiple and multifordness. I can't remember what I just said a word wrong, completely wrong. Multiple versions of locations and headquarters, divisions, and things like that. And you're realizing just how much of that you've seen here, that either it's feasted on a lot of divisions, or this attachment to your division is eating not just your place, but eating division itself.
Okay.
Does that seem fair?
Yes, thank you. I definitely communicate the driver piece to everybody, right? The library, it seems, whatever's eating this stuff, I can taste it. There's something else there. Something else controlling it, pushing it, driving it. I think I leave the piece about division in my relationship to it out for now.
So the group kind of gathers themselves together, and I'm assuming they move forward. What is your approach to things now? Like, how are you dealing with the situation? Are you more cautious, less cautious, trying to move faster? What do you think?
I am very cautiously trying to damage something in a small way, and then moving up in increasingly larger destruction, just to make sure that I am in fact out of that fucking card room where I couldn't use violence.
Absolutely. I think you will do that, kind of keep like tearing things. You move from these blank books into areas of more standard things. And I think there's a moment at which you are you've torn a thing, broken a framework, knocked a shelf down, that kind of thing.
This is good.
And I think you're see there is a big book on a table, and you're reaching for it. You're not sure whether you're going to tear the book apart or whether you're going to break the table or what. But I think you'll hear can I stop you there?
And I'll turn.
And you will see that person that you all met before, formless. That head that is kind of whatever angle you look at it, you can't quite see it. I'm sorry. Did you have a purpose to what you're doing before I interrupt you?
I can put my experiments aside for the moment. Did you need to ask something?
It's more that particular volume is on my list. And so
Take it.
Oh.
Take it. I'm so sorry. Yes. Yes.
No. It's quite all right. I don't mean to interfere. I would never want to get in the way of whatever it is you are doing.
True.
No, he will reach over and kind of pick this big book up as if it weighs nothing, and then kind of slide it into a bag, a book satchel that he has. Looks at you, looks at the others. How are things going?
Do you know where the conservatory is?
The conservatory. Do you mean there is a conservatory, but that's quite a ways back. Do you mean the observatory?
Yes, that's it.
It's that way, that direction there. Follow along. It gets institutional for a little while. So follow the green arrows at
Follow
that
the
point.
green arrows.
And that should take you closer to it, but there's a little variedness to it.
Variedness that following the green arrows will get us through?
The big green arrows will get you closer to the observatory. It's close to the heart, and things get weird there. Which may be quite a bit me saying that, even as I am, and there we are.
Fair enough. Well, I will turn to my compatriots and say, shall we follow the green arrows?
Do we see this person as well? Or is it
Yeah,
just
I think now that actually that vein kind of steps aside, weirdly, they were completely obscured in Vane's silhouette, and so when Vane steps aside, you will see them. Ah, oh dear. Are you all right, Beelzebub?
Certainly less than I was the last time we met, but well,
But you were a lot then.
even less now. But we grow, we shrink, diminish, reform. It is what it is.
maybe we'll find another sad lady for you to eat, Beelzebub?
I think I need something a little bit more filling.
A happy lady?
No, sad is good, just more substantial.
Sadder. Really sad.
Really
Whoa.
sad, less half-eaten.
And Formless, where are you off to now?
I am heading to another section. Vane put it in my head that I should probably hit the conservatory while I've got it at the top of my mind. Music feeds the soul.
I see a green arrow.
Well, I will let you all go, and I wish you the best of luck on whatever it is that you are doing. I hope you're able to make your way out this time. And then he's gone.
Do you think it's possible that like that guy, we should have just like beaten the shit out of him?
He's not so easily beaten. There's not a lot.
All right.
Your body needs more substance to really beat.
Very well.
They call him formless for a reason. You punch him, it just kind of moves somewhere else.
Well, in that case, I think we should follow the green arrows.
It seems a little too easy.
Don't worry, we'll take care of you, Beelzebub.
I put my arm around Cetus. Do you want to take care of me, Cetus?
I do. I'm worried about you. You look thin.
I'm really very hungry.
I can tell. And lonely.
I mean, you've been eating books.
Books aren't very filling. It's not how this works.
Especially these books are not good eating, Beelzebub.
Cetus,
Thinking.
what is the worst you have ever felt?
It wasn't hungry.
It
was
doesn't have
trapped.
to be. It was.
Trapped.
Can I have a taste of that? I'm taking 3 tokens for asking someone to feed me a part of themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. So Cetus reaches up a finger actually, to your third eye, to your right between your eyes. And he shares the most terrifying vision of his entrapment for millennia, where he was conscious but completely trapped in the abyss before he fell asleep.
Yeah.
It took a long time.
May I roll the gnawing edge of hunger here?
Please do.
Is everyone okay with that? I just want to check in.
Let me
Sure.
just quickly read it.
Yeah, let's check in on that.
Yeah.
Gnawing
So,
edge of hunger. Okay.
on an 8 to 10, you blunt the worst edges of your hunger and feed on only as much as you need. Your hunger is deeper, and an edge with endless teeth as your humanity slips further away. There aren't necessarily any negative consequences for you on this roll.
Okay.
It's all about my hunger.
Well, there is some consequences potentially on in general there on the 11 plus
Yes, and
or
also
the 7
on
minus.
the 7 minus. That's fair.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna roll two. I'm gonna roll with 2 tokens if people are
Okay.
okay with it.
Right.
That's a relatively safe number of tokens, right?
Famous last words.
Or did I say that? That's an 8.
An 8.
6 plus 2. Yeah, I blunt the worst edges of my and feed only as much as you need, and I taste the delicious misery of your entrapment. But don't take it all. Don't you remember it, you feel it, you've still got it all, but I get what I need to feel better. It just feels so good. Right. I've had these like half feeds and this already, chewed up and spit up sad person and just to like revel in somebody else's misery for a moment. It's not pleasant, right? That's the ugliness of this new hunger, right? But it feels so good. And I'm going to replace the hunger condition envious with the hunger condition I'll think about a good one that fits there, but I'm gonna replace the hunger condition there.
So you will move on to this next hallway, and it does like step in, and now we've got fluorescent lights and tiling, linoleum. We've got walls. We've got wooden doors with the kind of the milky windows in them that you can't quite see in. Vane, Samson, you're kind of a little bit at the front of this. Samson, as you are heading along up ahead through this hallway, and you do see this green line, you also see some other lines that go off in different directions into different doorways and things. But Samson, you will hear a sound coming from one of the doorways up ahead, close by where you're at. We're hearing this kind of ka-chunk sound. It's not like a mechanical, like repeated sound, but there's a similar sound, and then some sound of some other things going on, like scrambling, and then some more ka-chunking.
Almost as if there's something waiting for us up there. So I think I'm
Perhaps.
going to turn to the rest of them and kind of put up my hand and say we should be a little bit more quiet so that we can surprise whatever's there, so it doesn't surprise us. And I think I'm going to step on ahead.
Okay.
And poke my head around the corner or in the door or whatever it is, trying to see if I can't find out what's going on.
You will slide forward. You will come. You will hear the sound from this room. You will kind of reach down, open door, and peer in, and you will see like copy machines and like desks and paper and things like that. There's a big work table, and there are pairs of scissors and one of those big swing arm paper cutters. And you will see this woman who's kind of in a weird sort of yellow blouse, yellow kind of jacket that seems like stitched together. Her her hair is kind of brown, but it looks like maybe she's tried to use like printer ink to dye it in places. But what you see is she has all these books, and she is cutting them up, slicing them up, and like separating out pieces and kind of humming to herself there. You're indoors, but she's wearing these sunglasses.
And is this the direction where the green arrows are taking us, or is this off to the side of that?
This is off to the side. This room is going past that.
I am going to slip back to the group and say, describe what I saw and say, we have no reason to go there. We're going to keep following the green arrows until we get to the center so that we can do our job and follow division's orders. And I follow the green arrow. And
you will head on. We're going to take our first break here, and then we will continue.
Samson is so sensible.
I'm taking darkness tokens for that. Yes.
So you will make your way along these institutional hallways. Like, it switches from linoleum to very low carpet, to some kind of old, maybe asbestos tile on the floors, as you make your way through here, following this green line. And then you will come to a large door that has a simple plate on it, one of those like brass things, and somebody has slid this in, that just says observatory. Who's opening the door?
Sorry, I was coughing when you said what it says on the brass thing, so I didn't quite hear it.
Observatory.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, Samson will open the door.
Okay.
Yeah.
Samson, as you open the door, you will see shelves and books and things, all kind of moving around in the air and around, and there's gaps behind them that kind of glow coming from them. And as you open the door, you will hear this sound of things chunking into place as each one slides and kind of falls in like a puzzle box into place to kind of form this hallway that you can walk down. There are books on all four sides. You actually have to walk on these shelves that are in the floor, that the books are all kind of even. They all look like weirdly like sets of World Book encyclopedias and those kinds of things that are all the even same size as you walk across them. And that will then open up from there into a massive room. There is a spiral walkway, sort of Guggenheim style, around the outskirts. There are shelves, there are pictures, there are objects along there, and you can see that there is a dome at the top that is a painted starscape, but there are also sort of hanging in various places in the air different telescopes and periscopes and sighting things with little like very narrow steps sort of hanging in the air, walking out to each of them. Vane, what do you do when you come in here and see all of this? Some of it supremely fragile.
Oh, so nicely fragile. Well, so there's no sign of movement. There's no sense of other beings here.
There was movement whenever I first came in, correct?
Yeah, there was the shifting of all the things kind of form the
And-
corridor that you came in.
And behind the corridor, before the books were in place, you said it was glowing?
Yeah,
Almost as if there's something ghostly on the other side, but the books formed so that we could walk across it.
yeah,
Is that right?
yeah. That seems like a good way to put it. Oh yeah, so Vane, you will see, if you kind of look and observe, you will see there is a like there are some doors at the bottom of this, around the base of this thing, like exits from here, and you will see that there is a chair by one of those doors, and you will see this very tall, angular figure, completely lacking a face, that is seated there, and just kind of seated with his hands on his knees.
Well, I'm gonna walk over and stand in front of him.
Oh, he stands up very sudden. Oh, kind of straightens up he's got a kind of a nice suit jacket on, dress pants. Hello.
Yes. It says hello.
Uh, are you the interviewer?
You said he has no face.
That's correct. But
So
you can
how,
hear,
where's, I can just hear
Yeah,
the voice.
just hear the voice. Are you the interviewer?
No, they're going to need you to wait a little longer. Did they tell you how many interviewers you were going to talk to?
No, I came in, they sent me down. I went through that initial sign up process, and I was seated
Okay.
and waiting, and like
Like
uh,
so it's good you've been through the initial sign up process. Do you have
yes,
the
it
form? Do
has.
you have the form that you were supposed to fill out?
I no, I gave them the form, and then they sent me down there. But
You guys
it
can
has
see
been
that
a
Vane is
while.
just clearly enjoying herself at this point.
It has been quite a while. That's not a
Quite a
problem.
while.
Not
Quite
a
a
problem
while.
for me. But I just would.
Well, you take a seat. Take a seat. We'll
Oh,
get back to you.
the same seat.
Yes, the same seat.
All right. Oh,
And
all right.
I'm going to turn back and go, I don't think that guy's going to be any use to us.
Cetus, what are you doing? As Vane torments this odd supernatural gentleman.
So these instruments are all floating kind of in the air.
Yeah, there
yeah.
are little steps going up to them.
Oh, there are little steps going up to them. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I think Cetus is going to he still has Gray by the hand, and he says, "Come with me."
Oh.
And then I think he's going to rather than take the steps, which seems dull, he's just going to float up.
Okay.
With his new one thing, I now have telekinesis.
Oh, that's right.
Bane,
Yeah.
which I try to use whenever possible because it's a new trick. And floats up to whatever one of them are. One of the contraptions that looks like you can look through it, like a telescope or a that has some kind of optical
Yeah,
thing.
there's a telescope, beautifully made, brass, crystal, silver.
Mm-hmm. And so the two of them kind of alight on the landing right where you use that telescope. And then I think Cetus is going to look through the telescope and see what he can see.
Cetus, what recent event, either here in the library or
Mhm.
for you in the near past, do you see from another angle?
I think what he sees is um, the moment he what was it, Marcus? The moment he
Finch? Yeah,
Marcus Finch, the moment he attempted to uh, pilfer the immunity, the memory immunity from Marcus, and but only he's not seeing it from his perspective. He's seeing it somehow from a different perspective, from above or from the side.
absolutely. And you will see that, and you will see Marcus like kind of nod along with you again in absolute honest agreement with you. And I think there's that moment just a little bit later where you kind of slide into the other universe,
Mhm.
and you will see as you kind of fade out, you will see this worm thing appear behind Marcus, and you will see it loom over, and then it just
Devours him.
and swallows him, and then shifts over to where you're at. And there's a flicker in the air, and you see Marcus reappear.
So I'm seeing this as if it took place, right?
As if it took place.
And the me that I'm seeing doesn't notice it.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Cetus kind of backs up from the telescope, and he looks down at his friends, and he says to them from up above, it's echoey in this big chamber. He says, I think Marcus may have been compromised.
So, Bub, what are you doing between Vane's dealing with this person and Cetus observing and now informing you of this potential problem?
So, I mean, I don't know what the exact time frame is, but I'd love to rewind so that while Vane is having their conversation
Sure.
and Cetus is having his vision, I'm looking at the stars and observing the observatory and trying to grasp keys that way through sort of thinking sort of like comparing it to my knowledge of astrogation or whatever.
Absolutely. Let's
Like a silly
have you
spelljammer word.
Spelljammer. Oh, Spelljammer. Yeah, how many darkness tokens do you want to spend?
I got a bunch of darkness tokens. I'll spend 2.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's roll. And that's a 6.
That is a
I'm gonna
6.
spend some bonds though.
You've got plenty of bonds to burn.
I have lots of bonds. I figure I might as well burn them. So I need 2. I think I'm just burning two of my 3 bonds with what the darkness demands of me. And hold on, there's a
And
thing
how
for
is
that.
that pushing you? How it is the darkness command of you,
Yeah.
desires for you, push you forward?
I mean, I think this is me like sitting in my past, right? That life as an all-powerful consumer of worlds. I think I'm gonna like I'm feeling that intense loneliness, that isolation, being cut off from everyone else, but also kind of like reveling in it, right? You know, like I think that's the that's sort of that's the thing.
Absolutely. So you will bump that up to an 8, I assume?
Yeah, yeah. I'm also
Uh,
gonna take 2 darkness tokens for lonely.
okay.
And
You will realize as you're kind of watching this starscape at the top is that in some ways it's like a clock. Like you can see it's abstract, this thing, but it is a clock, and you can see like the direction it ought to go in, but it is a clock that is moving backwards. And that seems to be a fixed thing sort of at the center of this turning backwards of this thing.
yeah, I think as I sort of like snap out of the reverie, that as I put that together, as I hear Cetus say, I think Marcus has been compromised. I said Marcus had been eaten. I thought Marcus had been eaten.
Samson, what about you?
I think I walk and so we're in the observatory. This is where we're
Yeah,
going to go. And I think I'm looking for controls. This is the heart of the library, right?
it
Um,
is described as the heart, is the center point of this, or at least connected to the heart.
yeah. Um, so I think I walk around and I'm going to explore a little bit. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to look, I might glance through some of the telescopes, but not pay that much attention unless they're really interesting. I might even go over and talk to the faceless one,
Okay.
just to get a feel for what's going on and see if I can explore and find something important. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have you. Let's have you grasp for keys in a second. Let me do the conversation with him, and then we'll have you grasp for keys. When you come over after Bane is done, he will stand up again, and he will say, "Well, I want to thank you again for this opportunity to join Division. Really, really excited to be to have a chance to join up."
That's good. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
So they call me Hanged, and I I I can asphyxiate people deliberately now, and I'm a manifestation of a Jungian archetype, I believe. That's uncertain. A little bit of haziness on that. I was pulled out of a dream years ago that I apparently had wandered into. I don't know the exact story of it, but I've been trying to get by as best I can. I'm Canadian.
So, and I'm going to go through some interview questions, things like, so tell me about how you would handle this situation. But I'm really, um, so tell me a little bit about why you're wanting to join Division, and Division is something that you join for life and easily die from. Why are you
Well,
willing to do this?
the thing has been, it hasn't been while I've been here, is in the outside of the Vision HQ, and I'm not sure what you've done here, but it's great. I've been like, I've had physical needs, and so I've had to like find work to eat, which has not been easy for someone with my very limited skill set, even in Canada. But so I thought maybe joining an institution that serves and is comprised by the kinds of people like I am would be a good thing to do.
What would you be willing to die for?
What would I be willing to die for? You see him like it's clearly been a while. Like he clearly came in having prepared for an interview, but it's been so long
Yeah.
that he's kind of forgotten it. For my teammates, obviously, when you're on a team, you've got to work together and be willing to sacrifice to for the good of your teammates and for the good of your mission.
So part of this interview process is going to be for you to follow us and make sure that
Okay.
you keep up with us.
Oh, is it a
And
shadowing thing?
And if any of us give you an order, you are to take that and do that immediately. Understood?
Oh, okay, absolutely. Great. Very excited to be part of this. And your name is?
Oh, my name is Samson,
Oh,
and I deal with death.
oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm proud to be part of this effort.
Yes. And I'm going to move on and see what else I can find. Yeah.
Why don't you grasp for keys? How many points do you want to spend?
Let's spend. I'm going to spend 3.
Okay.
Oh, um, my little monster
Yeah.
can apply to grasping keys, and would Agent Fable? Yeah, I think Agent Fable would help here. So I'm going to spend
Yeah.
2, but get 3. Yeah.
That sounds good. Let's go ahead and have you roll.
And that is a 7, which I need more, right? I need an
Yes.
8. So I'll spend a bond. Oh. And I think the bond that I spend is going to be with Cetus. And I call Cetus over and say, I'm having some trouble making sense of this. I just wanted to let you know that our friend here is an acquisition for division, and he will follow your orders, and he will follow us until he doesn't. And whenever he doesn't, and whenever there's a problem, make sure he doesn't hurt any of us.
A new friend.
Yes.
So Samson, you kind of move around, checking out things, and as you move around, you look through doors and you see other hallways going out, and you will see that there is one of the doors that's in here that is unlike anything else you've been here in the library. Is actually locked, and that sort of catches your eye. But then you will see next to that in a like display case, you will see a set of scrolls. They look ancient, but they're written in English, like modern English, kind of block print, handwritten. And you kind of lift the case off and look at these, and you will realize that these are sort of weird lost relics of the last memories of a ancient civilization that you've never heard of, and looks like it was erased from history. And these are Division's notes on it.
And I think I'm going to take those scrolls. Actually, I think I'm going to call Beelzebub over to where Cetus and I are and say, call him over and ask him if he's familiar with this civilization, simply because he's more exploratory than I am. But no eating. These are not for eating.
I mean, am I? Did I?
It is an ancient Earth civilization. What is the detail about this lost Earth civilization that most reminds you of your own people, Beelzebub?
Yeah, I don't think I'm actually familiar with this. Is like they were long gone by the time I got here, right?
Yeah.
But as I'm looking at these scrolls, these
So
notes,
so the time, like, it's weird because it's modern English, like the timetable on this thing is very weird to you, but you think probably before me? I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Um, sorry. I um uh um I think the thing that reminds me most of my home as I'm looking at these notes and reading them um is is there I think there's like a joy um in it, right? There's like a and I don't know that this is special, right? I want to stress like every civilization I've encountered over my many times of life has joy in it.
Mhm.
People find joy, um, but there's something specific about. I think it's like the joy in discovery. Um, right, there's like it's like a bunch of different things. There's like one scroll that talks about like artistic discovery and like finding beauty in that way, and there's one that talks about talks about it's like the journal of a scientist who uncovered something, and one's just like a kid's a kid's discovery of like their first crush, right? And like all of these things feels very like these are the kinds of stories that were just over and over and over and over again up to a cliche on whatever the entertainment was in my culture, and it was a thing that we really sort of like the joy of discovery was something that was an important part
Yeah.
of where I came from.
And this thing, did the library eat this civilization? Did division have something to do with it? Like you don't know. And I think there's a certain amount of melancholy for you as you're going through that. Vane, Samson has taken charge of your interviewee. Beelzebub is looking through some records. Cetus has told you that your contact has been compromised. Samson has found a locked door. There's all kinds of breakable things in here. What are you doing?
I'm going to first smash some things and then look for a door that is locked on the theory that that's what we should be going through.
Oh, yeah. Samson can direct you to the single door in here that is locked.
And I'm going to go kick it open.
And do you punch? Do you just
Oh,
kick it
it's a kick. It's just like a, yeah.
You will heft back and kick, and this door will splinter under your strike there. I mean, you are powerful, and it just absolutely fragments. And you will get kind of a blast of heat, and you will see there is a room that looks like a massive room. It must be, but it feels cramped because there is like a boiler and this Escher-esque run of pipes coming out of the boiler here. What from the thrum of this thing, from the beat of the steam and the pipes and so on, what is the message you're hearing from it?
I'm hearing in the midst of the kind of the hiss of this kind of reeking horrible steam that it's time It's time for the gate to open and for the apocalypse to come. And it's just sort of saying that over and over. It's time for the ancient door of power to open. It's time. It's time. And it's almost deafening to me.
Would you like to grasp for keys here?
Yes, I would.
How many tokens do you want to spend?
I'm going to spend 2.
Okay. Let's have you roll.
All right, I have the enormous dice.
Good.
4. You can hear it through the house. So a 6 plus 2 so that's 8
8.
altogether.
You will see here tucked, like jammed around, tossed almost carelessly in here, like someone has been sitting here reviewing, reading through our files, and like each one is a division file, and it's a detail, it's a file on a mission, and you can see that someone has gone through and has highlighted for each one how the Harbinger was stopped by division. And it's like someone has been studying those files. So we can put that on the mystery thing if someone would there. We are at this point, 10 clues. 10 clues, 10 keys here. So the complexity is a 7. So we can move to the opening Doom's door if people feel like it. I just feel like trying to work out a theory from what you have. Remember that our facets here are the Harbinger, who, like, what is the figure? What is the thing that's trying to do this? Who is that? The door of power, what is there like trying to crack open to ascend? Who actually brought the library to division? And what are the secrets locked within the library? Those are the facets that we're going to try to associate those keys with. It may be that we don't hit every one of those facets. We may have some that don't have any keys associated with them, but we're going to try and put together a theory. So Cetus, as the four of you kind of gather together to look at this, and Mr. Gray kind of stands behind you. You see he's like you look like you'd be doing like work. So he's not that interested in that. But he says, do you mind if I go and look at the pictures?
Oh, go right ahead. I'll catch up.
I want to see if I can find mine.
Good luck.
So
Make sure I get to see it if you do find it.
you see him pause and he says, maybe not.
Oh, think about it, Dorian.
It's not a good likeness.
I'm very accepting. Okay, go off. The stupid, boring division business.
So, Cetus, which key would you like to associate with one of the facets? And like, why do you think that's connected? What does that tell us about what's going on?
So, hold on. One thing
Sure.
came up, and let me see if the next thing comes up. I think there are some things pointing to an inside job here. So I think the facet of who brought the library to division someone who was here studying division files. I think I'd like to connect that to who brought the library to
Okay.
division.
So like the idea that the purpose of bringing the library here to division, the person who did that, like that was their purpose. That was what they were after. Like that is the key to who was driving the engine of this place.
Yeah, so who brought that? Yeah, yeah, and that somehow they have a connection. Maybe I want to say it's an inside job that somehow
Yeah.
they had their hands on those files, and or wanted to get their hands on those files by using the Parasitic Library as a tool.
I like that. Samson, what key would you like to associate with a facet?
I think I'm going to associate probably the, let's see, facets. The facet is the harbinger itself is one of the facets. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, the sort of the who it actually is, what they're actually about kind of thing.
I think I'm going to say that I'm going to take the first entry, which is the top secret division badge found in the library.
Mm-hmm.
And from all the division connections that we keep having, it's almost as if there is that this harbinger is sort of the antithesis of division. It's seeking out division and trying to consume all of it, as if it's division's foe.
Do you think they're like a former division agent or a present division agent or something of that sort?
I'm going to say in this case, no, it's a completely separate entity that has infiltrated division and is, sort of like the yin and yang, the opposite of division.
They've managed to infiltrate, but they are the opposite of division. They are the antithesis. They intend to completely undo what division is about. Beelzebub.
Yeah, I'm gonna take, since we're doing a lot of this stuff, I'm going to take there's just so many good different directions to go.
Yeah, this is a very open one in a lot of
This
ways.
is very open and very rich. Like there's just a lot of stuff. I'm gonna be boring because this is the thing that Samson stuck in my head a second ago.
Sure.
But I'm gonna say the contemporary division filing cabinet of case folders missing some folders. I'm going to connect that with the facet of who brought the library to division. And I'm going to say I find that was a clue. I discovered they were specifically case folders. And I think what this is that division actually put these here, actually fed them to the library, right? Because if the library is being driven by the harbinger, right, who is an enemy of division, right, trying to use it against division, the library itself is not the harbinger, and division has tried to use it in the past as a way to store, preserve, protect material from elsewhere, and maybe also, I mean, I don't know whether the harbinger
probably be more to conceal or destroy, given that the library consumes it, right?
When division is storing and protecting, right? They are concealing it from anybody else, right? And there's a hubris here, right? There's a sense of like, well, we can figure this out and make it work. Clearly not, right? But I do think that division has that hubris. We work for them after all.
So is that more the secrets locked within the library?
You know what? I think that's probably true.
Okay.
Right, but I think that's fair.
Because we're not pointing at a person. You're talking about like what the purpose
what the stuff is, but there's a sense in which like the use of the library is contested between the harbinger and division. right? Which is kind of what I'm trying to get at.
Okay.
You know, whether division knows that or not, we can play out as we look at these
Yeah.
other clues. But I think division, in addition to the harbinger trying to use it to get at division has been actively trying to use the library.
Okay, so we see that's part of the sort of shadow purpose, the other purpose that's been going on. Harbinger is taking advantage of that, reacting against it. Vane, what facet do you want to associate?
I am taking the star map as a clock that's moving backwards and relating it to the door of power, because I believe what's going on right here is time magic, in that they're trying to basically shift time back to where this ancient civilization that our sort of counter division came from does stuff. Sorry.
Yeah. So that moving back of the clock is a thing that the harbinger is doing. Like that is a literal countdown that it is doing, trying to restore something, trying to restore what was lost, trying to go back to something. I think that's perfect. Cetus, come back around to you.
I have to unmute first. Okay. I'm thinking that the book's waver back and forth into existence is related to the secrets locked in the library. So there's an assumption that whatever secrets are in the library are disappeared, right? That they go to nothingness. And yet Cetus's vision was that somehow they're encoded and still there and accessible somehow. And well, maybe this is the arcane Dewey Decimal System. Well, no,
I like this.
Yeah,
like what's happening is not consumption for destruction, but consumption that is transforming
and concealing. Yeah, and obfuscating. And so that's related to the secrets locked in the library. And so there is some way with the correct code or key to access these secrets, which might have to do with other facets of
and it does also beg the question, like what these things. I mean, if they can be decoded, but in the form that they're in, like what can they be used for? Like, are they a power? Are they a fuel? Like, what are they? I think that's very cool. Samson.
Remind me what the magic shadow lantern, whenever we found that, what was it like?
You found a lantern that when it illuminated, it seemed to like tell shadow puppet stories of like the recent past of what you guys had done coming in here and stuff. Like an echo of it.
Perfect. I'm going to connect that to the door of power. And I think that is it turns out that shadow lantern, or that magic shadow lantern, actually is a harbinger door detector and can be used to find such things.
Yeah, it
almost like a compass.
Yeah, kind of reads the compass, it reads the recent past, it's interpreting that, pointing the harbinger to where they need to go, what point in time they need to reach, what event they need to do to be able to carry out their agenda. That brings us then to Beelzebub.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna take the arcane Dewey Decimal System and connect it to the harbinger, because here's the thing. Who is that system for in a library that's built? It's not built for anything. That's a mask, right, for an entity that consumes and destroys information, right? And the answer is it's for the driver, right? It's for the harbinger. And the arcane Dewey Decimal System is the path through which the harbinger can draw on the secrets lock within the library.
Yeah, that this is what they've put together, the mechanic, the enchantment, the system to be able to convert that weird power to something else, to do what they need to do.
To make it intelligible to them.
Absolutely. Samson? Oh, sorry, Vane?
I'm going to go with the locked door and ancient scrolls and connect that to I guess to the harbinger, because I want they're basically that ancient civilization has managed to infiltrate the library, or the division, partially through seeding agents through time, and that's how they've gotten in and sort of planted all the things that have led to this very moment.
So, have you met the harbinger? Is like, who do you think the harbinger is?
I think the harbinger is formless and that he's been laughing at us behind our backs all this time.
Okay. That is your hypothesis. So yeah, go ahead and associate that with the harbinger. And that brings us back to Cetus. We have 2 facets left.
Wow. Okay. I'll do
Or
my
2
best.
keys left, rather.
Let's see. We have the ink. Okay, so I'm a little confused. I'm trying to follow what we've created so far before I continue.
Sure.
So there's the harbinger, and then there's the person who brought the library to division. And I'm getting a little confused about.
Do you think they're one and the same?
Oh, they could be one and the same.
Okay. And I think that's sort of the thing that people have been talking about, is whoever the harbinger is, they've assumed an identity of a division agent. And from what Vane put in, like, they've done that by seeding themselves through time to be here, to gain entry, to manifest and use this power.
Okay. It seems like the stellar detritus would be related to the door of power. Since the other thing that we know about the door of power is that there's a countdown in terms of a star map that's moving backwards. And the stellar detritus, it looks like detritus, but there are, what is it? I'm thinking it's another kind of countdown.
Okay.
Like, you know how an hourglass has sand that goes through it?
Yeah.
This has a stellar detritus that leaks through, and when the leak finishes, when it's all leaked through, that's when the door of power will open.
Absolutely. Like we see that mix, that 2 clocks colliding, working in their different directions to create this countdown to paradox there, and this breaking. That seems good. And then Samson, we've got 1 facet left. What is that associated with?
The ink from the books having leaked out is associated with the secrets from the library. And as it turns out, the library, without the harbinger or formless or others knowing, the books themselves are acting against the harbinger. And the words leaking out, the ink leaking out from the books is sort of a clue for us that we would never have gotten here. Formless would have just taken us out if it hadn't been for Mr. Gray and the Faceless and all of these people. The story's helping us along. The ink
nice.
and the books themselves helping us along the way.
I like it. All right. We are at 3 ticks of the clock left. We're going to be rolling with the +3. Let's take 5 and we'll make that roll. Sorry, we're in the middle of the fight now. I apologize.
And I speak to them as I spoke long ago when my words swayed gods and broke the gates of heaven in my true and ancient voice.
All right.
And what I and I describe those hopes. And I tell them how small and petty they were. And now, as they're about to be realized, well, I'll eat what's left of them. I'm
All
unleashing the dark and enforcing my will socially or emotionally and marking one ruin to treat the move as if I rolled an 8 to 10 and choose 4 options instead of 2.
All right. So what is it, the options that you are picking there?
So first of all, I'm getting past their defenses and inflicting a condition.
Okay.
That's number 1. Number 2 is I'm going to expose a weakness or flaw. And that's really, ideally to create an opportunity for one of my colleagues here. I'd like to gain the upper hand for now.
Okay.
The question is, do I want to avoid reprisals or do I want to confuse them? I think I've done a lot of things to them, and avoiding reprisals would be smart.
Okay. And I think it is that right now he is a mass of undefined like ink and so on. And I think when you hit him with this, I think you see part of him like there's a whiteness, and you can see almost his memories and his stories start to get writ on a little part of him. Like you congeal part of his stories. You define it there, as opposed to just this mass of him rewriting. You impose the words on him.
Mm-hmm.
Vain.
Vane stretches out their hand and the scythe appears and they just launch themselves at Formless, which is unleashing the dark, for which I take 3 darkness tokens.
Okay.
And then I am going to roll.
Yes. With your giant dice.
A 2 and a 3, so plus 3 is 8 altogether.
Is 8. So you get to pick 2. Now I do want to check something. Now I will point out that you have Come On Tough Guy as a move.
Well, if I can use that, I will.
Yeah, he is colossal and otherworldly.
Well, you shapeless piece of toweling, I am coming at you now. And I am going to expunge every word that you have ever thought.
You get to choose 2.
Okay, I am going to inflict. Let's take despairing.
Okay.
And let's take raging. Actually, no. Would it make sense to take lovelorn?
No, you only have to mark 1 condition yourself.
Oh, well.
They're gonna
I
take
thought it
2.
was what I was imposing on him.
So no, they that's more of a track on my end of
Okay,
things.
then I'm gonna impose raging on myself because this is clearly raging.
So
all right.
What does it look like? Like, what do we see as you leap towards that patch that Beelzebub has defined? What is it that you do that cracks him open?
Well, you see, it's the line of that silver line of the side just flinging forward in a very graceful sweep, and it just cleaves through the formless shape, and it's like it collapses in on itself and starts leaking as though a balloon had been cut.
Yeah, and it is a deluge. It is Evil Dead level ink flying everywhere, just spraying past you and flying back to the books. And you can see that he has made himself all of the ink in all of these books, and now all of the books, all of the records, everything is pulling that ink back, and it comes out of that wound that you've made, and it is a whirlwind of this, and then the kind of the sound as the energy that was kind of pulling this room apart like gives, and suddenly just everything locks back into place, and he is
And
gone.
Vane will retrieve Yang Hu's book as it wings past. Just look at it and say, "Told you you were okay," and stick it back in her pocket.
Oh no,
No?
those pages are gone. That story is gone.
No! Okay, fine.
I think you look at it like you're like, look to see. You remember it in your mind, but there are no words on the page.
No words.
You will
All
have
right.
to rewrite his story.
Excellent.
And yes, and Mr. Gray will catch you, Cetus, dramatically.
I needed a dramatic moment there.
Absolutely. He says, if only we had a fainting couch. Let's do an epilogue here for this scene, for this interaction, for this dispatch of this force from beyond. Beelzebub, you can do a scene either in the immediate aftermath or somewhere down the road. Like, what do we see here for this sort of epilogue to the mission?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really talk about we talked about what happens to the Harbinger, right? But the library is kind of still there, right?
It is, but the driver is gone, and it is detachable from Division.
Oh, I wonder what Division's going to do with that. I wonder if I care. I do think that, I think the main thing for Beelzebub here, as they're walking sort of back through the library, retracing their path to get out, right? And coming upon the traces of these echoes, whether it's the librarian or Marcus, right? Or any of these other kinds of people who are kind of consumed by the library, but are also in the library, right? And I think I have these little conversations with them. It's small talk. I don't try to get too deep, but I'm just trying to engage with them, trying to figure out what they are. Are they like vomit or excrement, right? Are they some waste product that the consumption of what was real there left? Are they an echo? Are they the essence of what the person, what was consumed, and what is this thing that is left behind?
Yeah,
I don't think I have any answers, but
you're trying to figure that out, trying to come to terms with that. Vane, what's a epilogue, either an immediate aftermath or down the road a little?
Well, down the road, you do see Vane going down to the Division archives to basically make sure that this, having lost, that the librarian knows that I had to sacrifice the book, and that the book died nobly, and so everything should be cool now, because we did detach the Parasitic Library, so we're all good, right? Right.
The librarian will note and will nod. You have detached the library, and he's pleased by that. He will say, there is a form you need to fill out for noble deaths, though.
Oh. Well, then give me the noble death form, and I'll take that with me.
And he will provide that with you. Do you keep the little book or do you turn it in?
If they're not going to ask for it, I'm going to keep it.
Okay. Yeah. You will still have it. Beautiful cover, beautiful pages, just blank.
Just blank.
Cetus.
I think we see a space that's black, right? And the only thing it seems in it is this large painting hanging by wires. And we're seeing the back of the painting. And in front of the painting is Mr. Gray leaning on a divan, a fainting couch.
Yes, of course.
Looking delicious. And then Cetus just appears out of the darkness behind him. And he looks up. We can't see the painting, right? Because we're
Right.
only looking at the front, at them looking at the painting. And Cetus looks up at the painting and says, it doesn't say anything. It's just this huge smile breaks out on his face. And he leans over and wraps his arms around Mr. Gray. And
Very nice. Very nice. I do sort of picture him like the Dorian Gray from the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen movie. I can't remember that actor, but he's a good looking man.
Yeah, Dorian Grays are always good looking.
Oh yeah.
Part for the course.
Yes. Samson.
I think that Samson comes out of the library as they exit, and there are a number of, there are changes. I think Beelzebub has kind of changed the way that they looked, and Samson comes out and has what looks to be a large glowing tattoo. I think it's on his forehead.
Oh.
And very prominent. And it's it's almost otherworldly, almost ghostly an image. And it appears to be a pictograph or some kind of like a kanji kind of form.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's in that ancient language from those scrolls that were found that you can't really quite interpret and can't figure out what it is. And it takes the visions scientists a little while to try to decipher what it means. And our linguists, I think, finally think the meaning of that is probably breathe.
Nice. Yeah, and I think given that you have kind of the Rosetta Stone in those documents of modern English with those like the original language of this thing, that they can figure it out that that's what that is. And then the only thing is figuring out what you're going to bring to the potluck.
I'm bringing baked beans.
That's right.
Yeah.
Let's do XP. Get that set, and I'll talk about the meta of where we're at. So Cetus, did we hit your XP trigger, personal XP trigger?
Let me just take a look here. I'm not sure because I think there was a way that having Beelzebub eat that memory of the imprisonment may have allowed me to let go of it.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. I think that's really good.
Yeah.
Did you express your monstrousness and or your humanity?
I think I probably expressed my humanity in a number of ways.
Yeah, no, I agree.
My obsession with Mr. Gray is probably a part of my humanity.
So mark an XP for that.
Okay.
Do you think you learned something about yourself and or your impending ruin?
I don't think so.
Okay.
That I know of, yeah.
Did you learn something significant about a fellow monster?
I think I learned something about Beelzebub, that you are what you eat, and and that his strength lies a lot in what he is actually eating. And so he looks, or he seems very bad assed, but if you feed him the wrong thing, then he's not.
Interesting. We don't have to mark ruin.
All right.
So that brings us to Samson. Samson, did you hit your personal XP trigger?
I did. My personal XP trigger was, did you prioritize division's interest over your own fellow monsters? And I
Oh,
think I
yeah.
did that. Yeah, yeah.
Did you express your monstrous nature and or your humanity?
I would say my monstrous nature in, the sacrifices that I was willing to make. Yeah.
Right. Did you learn something significant about yourself and or your impending ruin?
I learned that I would be willing to sacrifice others to come out okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something you haven't had to do, and I think that it's an interesting reflection of last session, and your interactions with Beelzebub there. So, mark an XP. Did you learn something significant about a fellow monster?
I was thinking about this a little bit. I think I learned that out of all of this, Cetus is the one who seems most alive. Cetus's pursuit of Mr. Gray shows that he still has hope and future and all of that. Yeah.
I think that's fair. Beelzebub, did you hit your trigger?
I don't think I protected
Okay.
anybody pure and beautiful today.
Did you express your monstrous nature and or your humanity?
I think yes. Humanity mostly in my regret for expressing my monstrous nature.
Fair enough. Did you learn something about yourself and or your impending ruin?
I did, yes. I sort of tried to reflect this a little bit in that epilogue with the conversation with the conversations with the shades or whatever, the shadows. The right that I'm am I the library?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I've learned that that's something I care about.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Did you learn something significant about a fellow monster?
Oh yeah, I learned all about the things that has made Cetus the most miserable, which is his entrapment.
True, true. Vane, did you hit your XP trigger?
I did not.
Okay. Did you express your monstrous nature and or your humanity?
Yes.
Definitely. Mark an XP for that. Did you learn something significant about yourself and or your impending ruin?
Yes, in the room of the card catalogs, that violence could in fact be possibly not the right best answer, which is quite a lesson.
In the most rarefied
In
circumstances.
a few isolated circumstances, yes.
Yeah, so mark an XP for that. Did you learn something significant about a fellow monster?
I learned all sorts of interesting things. Some I'm still curious about, like the sad lady, but I've also learned not to talk about that. So yeah, yes, yeah,
That
definitely.
sounds good. Mark an XP for that. If anyone is watching or listening to this, I do apologize for missing the re-record. I've been pretty good about that lately. Just imagine that it was wonderful and I was elaborate in my descriptions and people gasped. That's how you should picture it. That sort of break there. That's how I want you to remember it. And given the whole nature of this particular scenario, I think that's fair for me to rewrite history a little bit. Let us, if you don't mind, do a quick stars and wishes. The metaphor. So we've got one more mission. We will start next week back at Division with the debrief and giving a chance to do that. the next mission takes place in Las Vegas, just to give you a heads up on that. So let's start with Cetus. Jose, anything stars and wishes?
Yeah, lots of things. I mean, I'm going to be processing all of the imagery for a while. Beelzebub, I'm really enjoying like the back and forth of our relationship, and your propensity to feed on me, and my willingness to allow it, and my kind of ribbing you, but also concern for you, is something that I'm having a lot of fun with. So thank you for doing that dance with me, Samson. I really was surprised by the whole thing with Faceless. It seemed so Machiavellian for you, that you roped them in and then fed them to the monster. So that was amazing. And Vane, the first part of the interview with with Faceless, I thought was awesome, and just the way you toyed with him, because there's this whole playful side to Vane, that is a lot of fun to see, in addition to the bull in the china shop.
Yeah.
And Lowell, thank you so much for keeping us on track through the threat and through the mystery, while also giving us space to play around in the nooks and crannies. I really appreciate both those things.
Anything you want to point to wishes wise?
I'm really hoping when we go back to Division that I can have a scene with Vane. Cetus has some questions that he wants to ask Vane.
Okay, we'll make sure that we hit that. Samson.
Let's see. I'm thinking. So I really liked the scene where the whole session was very evocative. I liked how Beelzebub, we just found a key, and Beelzebub stepped up and said, "I'm going to eat this." And it transformed him, and the way that it transformed him was really interesting to see. I think I'm seeing that that Jesse's character is all about change and how that's going to work. It's really interesting. And I liked Cetus, like I said, the way that Cetus was developed throughout this session. Jose brought his humanity out to me, and showed how he was focused in on someone else, and you could almost sense the burden lifting that Beelzebub had eaten. It was really good. And Vane, I really enjoyed how Vane took out, basically was like taunting the guy at the very end, and then showed how much she could take and do to him. It was really good. Yeah.
Anything wishes wise for these last? We got one more mission to go on.
I've been thinking I kind of wanted to see a variation of whenever we unlocked Doom's door, to see what the other variations are, but they can be pretty bad. But I got my wish in this session whenever we got an 11 plus, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, okay, that explains kind of how that went. So yeah.
Yeah,
So I can't think of anything other than that. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a horrible choice in another one of the games, and with that 11 plus, and they made some very painful sacrifices. There's it's and I've also played this where we get the 6 or less, and that was wild. So yeah, there's a lot of variation there. A Beelzebub.
Yeah. So overall big stars, I want to say, Lowell, that moment of that like room with all the ancient seeming scrolls with the modern English writing. I see a lot of stuff like that in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just like, obvious fakes, right? So I thought it was really fun to kind of like invert that, and it's like something weird like that where, it would obviously be something, you know, it would be like a very clumsy forgery.
Mm-hmm.
But they're real in some sense, right? Like, what does that mean? What does that? I loved that. That felt very, very cool.
Oh, good.
So that was fun. Cat, I super dug like Vane taking like a conversational approach when we walked into the observatory. You know, like, I'm gonna go talk to this person. Okay, they don't seem like they're dangerous, so I'm just gonna leave them here. Right. And there was no like, well, this person needs punching for some reason, or even just like, I'm not even gonna wonder. I'm not even gonna talk to them. There's a person punch. It felt like it felt like a very natural evolution of the character from like where you'd sort of started at the beginning of the session, and then, you know, tried some violence and destruction to mixed, I guess, response. And so I dug that. That felt very, very cool and like natural. And as we're like getting into the back third of this run,
Mm-hmm.
like, this is both for Cat About Vane and for all of us, like starting to see our characters really actually evolve. Has been a lot of fun. You know, Stephen watching Samson sort of seem less naive, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe trying to be less naive in a kind of naive way.
Okay.
Right? Like, it's sort of like, what would this is how it looks from the outside, but we're also mid development, so I'm curious to see where you take it. But like, it feels almost like, what would someone who really generally wants to do the right thing, if they were trying to make a heel turn, what would they make that look like?
Okay.
I don't know if that's what you're going for, and I'm curious to see what the full turn is, or if you turn back, or where it goes. But I'm very much enjoying it. And yeah, Jose, I'm really, really, the relationship between Beelzebub and Cetus has been really fun. And I appreciate you sort of like leaning in. It almost, you know, very, very different, but in the sort of like combination of affection and manipulation that Beelzebub has for Cetus, right? And like, both of those things are real. I'm feeling like an Artful Dodger kind of Oliver.
Okay.
I feel like both of those things are there in that relationship too. It's very different in a million other ways, but just in that one piece. Yeah, so big stars to everybody. Wishes more conditions. I just want all the conditions.
Okay.
I'm selfish that way. But also I'm really mostly just to like, and we've this is more of the same in the balance between sort of pushing the mystery forward and giving us space to develop our characters. Like, we've had that all the way through, and it's been great. And let's keep doing it.
Okay. That seems fair. Vane.
Well, at first I was kind of sorry that I didn't get back in time to watch last week's session, but it actually worked out kind of nicely, because I am going to watch it, but I still had that kind of wonderful moment where I came in, everybody was like, well, Beelzebub killed the sad lady, and it was just sort of like, whoa. And so I liked the sort of, that was really fun to come and just feel as disconcerted as I think Vane would have been, which is like, wait, what the fuck? I thought this was just a really fun investigation, and kudos to Lowell for just being super atmospheric and a lot of fun and just a lot of cool moments. And I do think that Hanged was a really interesting moment, not just because he was Canadian, but because we've seen Samson be so caring about the dead, right? You know, that's a ghost. He's like, yo, let's take care of the ghost. And it's a living guy. He's like, fuck him, right? So I thought it's just kind of fun to see that come out. I liked starting out with the festival and in moments of Beelzebub's past. And I Cetus is just such a kind of wonderful combination of sort of monstrous innocence and charm, and it just sort of every once in a while this sort of uneasy edge, and I love that as well. So yeah, lots of fun as always. Wants and wishes, I don't know. Las Vegas, I expect ghosts of gangsters at least. I don't know.
Okay.
It'll be fun.
Awesome. Thank you all very much. I am going to stop the recording. Or I'm going to try and hit this button.